Hi, I'm David Palmer here at BYU Idaho, statistics and data science professor, and I'm with Mariana. And she's going to explain to us the analysis that she did and all the wrangling and visualization that she did. But first, Mariana, before we get into that, maybe you can tell us what was the overarching research question and why did you choose that question?
I want to go into marketing as my career, so I decided to do something that has to do with the field that I want to go into. So basically, I wanted to figure out how Netflix can improve their catalog to call more audiences into watching their services, watching
Okay.
their shows. So that's the idea. The
Yeah.
idea is analyzing the data we have prior to 2025. That's how old this data is, and trying to figure out what was successful in the past and what is the pattern of watching. Is that a word?
Yeah,
Does
yeah.
that make sense?
So data rarely comes in all clean and ready for analysis. So maybe you can talk to me about where did you get the data and give me what was the biggest headache you came across in prepping the data? Maybe you can show us how you overcame that.
So yeah, the data does not come perfectly. The My initial idea, I wanted to see to group the data by years because I wanted to see what years they had better release dates and what years of release date people actually watch their stuff from, you know. But this data didn't have many release dates. They didn't also have, there were a lot of missing values on the data they entered Netflix, because I found that if I had the data they enter Netflix, I could also compare based on how long they have been in the catalog. Because if you think about it, if for example a movie entered a Netflix catalog 10 years ago versus a movie that just entered 2 years ago, I'm gonna have a skewed data, right? But they didn't have that information from any of the shows. So there's a lot of missing information that I thought would be good for the analysis that I wanted to make. So I had to adapt a little bit because I cannot make things up.
Yeah.
So yeah, so for cleaning data, the first thing I did was actually go through the data and look, like kind of look before how the data, what composes the data, right? What values I have, what values I don't have, what are the names of the values. So basically, this had two different data. I got a data that is called movies and one TV shows.
Okay.
So first thing I had to do was combine them together because then I have both of data.
Yeah.
So I used bind rows to combine them together and create a Netflix clean data, and then there I select the what is it called, the thing. There's a thing here and there's a thing here. If you think of a table, there's a
Yeah, column and rows.
columns. Yeah, I selected the columns that had the most values, like the ones that had the least amount of missing values.
Okay.
So I could build my analysis on them, and I filtered to take off the missing values because I can use them and I can create. And I thought about either dropping them or adding them as zeros, but then I could also mess up the data if I add them as zeros.
Yeah.
So I decided to just drop them and ignore.
Okay. Yeah, so you didn't know if they were valid zeros or if they were just missing.
Yes.
Um, so what was maybe talk us through, show me one of the charts that you're particularly proud of or you think really gets at the heart of your question.
I really like this one. This one is the 15 most viewed Netflix titles.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because I had an idea of what I was gonna find on that data, and I was completely surprised about it because, as you can see, the top 15 most viewed content on Netflix are basically movies for kids. And
Yeah.
that wasn't what I was expecting. I thought of Netflix more of a adult streaming platform. I thought parents would prefer for their kids to watch Disney Plus, for example. But apparently they really do like kids movies and stuff on Netflix. And my favorite finding is actually Squid Game season 2. It's the only TV show to appear on the top 15.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I was like, that's interesting. And it has a big like a big chunk of watches. Because if you look at Shrek, for example, we're talking there Shrek 1. So we're talking about a movie that's 20, almost 30 years old.
Wow.
And season 2 of Squid Games actually surpassed that.
Which of these is not a kid's show?
Mm,
I don't know, Leave the World Behind or Damsel.
yeah, I think the only one is Squid Games and Lift. I'm not sure.
Lift is not a kid
I think it's,
show.
yeah, if it's the same Lift I'm thinking of, it's a movie.
Yeah, well, a kid movie or a kid show, either one.
Yeah, from like, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, maybe it has a different name in English.
I guess I should ask, which one of these is not meant for kids? What's the highest rated non-kid one? Do you know?
No, I actually didn't look very well
Okay.
into that because I just looked at names and I was like, that's pretty much kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so this chart in conjunction with all the other charts that you created and all the other analysis, what recommendations would you have to maybe Netflix or maybe to a consumer who's shopping for, but let's keep it to Netflix, executive. What advice would you give to them or what would you give to their marketing team?
Can I just show another graph?
Yeah, oh, by all means.
Okay, so this other graph actually also helps understand this is the average bill across periods of times, and we're comparing movies and TV shows. So what's interesting to see is the viewership of TV shows are actually going down. Even when we have movies spiking up and going down later, we still see TV shows going down. So people apparently are not wanting to watch so many TV shows from Netflix. So if I was talking to a Netflix executive and they are asking about, for example, TV shows for Netflix, I would say, well, you have to look at what you did with Squid Game season 2. Maybe it was because it was a fresh face. We have a lot of Asian writers and Asian directors and actors, and something that Americans want to see, especially because South Korea, it's known to have those more thought-provoking content, and maybe that it's what adults want to see on the average American adult wants to see on Netflix, because that's the biggest chunk of people who actually watch Netflix. According to this data, it's Americans. So maybe that's what they want to see. They want to see something more thought-provoking. They want to see something that it's more like Squid Game season 2. But if they want to go in for where their money is sitting, I would say start producing more kids content. Because the most views are coming from movies for kids, and they usually have the same pattern of time too. So maybe not a really long movie. Looking to the case success of Boss Baby. What did Boss Baby bring to the table that was different from all the other titles, and why is it streamed so much?
Yeah.
It would be nice to actually have some data on the ages of the age of the target public for this TV shows and movies. Unfortunately, we didn't have that. But it was very interesting to look and figure out that what I thought I knew about Netflix wasn't actually that much. And that's so basically what I would say to a Netflix panel of whatever. I would say focus on producing more kids friendly, family friendly content, because that's what is actually bringing you views. And if you want to go into the route of TV shows, I wouldn't recommend, because your TV shows are viewing are dropping. So maybe not invest all your money on that. But if you want to invest your money on that, look at what you did in Squid Games, because that's the only one that it's.
Is Squid Games a Netflix original?
It is a Netflix original. I actually watched Squid Games the first season. It's pretty interesting. It's the premise of the show. It's what would you do for money?
Okay.
So how far would you go? So that's why I think the thought provoking. Maybe that's what the audience wants. They don't, yeah, they don't want to see any more. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, Mariana, for sharing your insights and your analysis with us.